Forum. Woohoo, West End. We have both candidates here with us today. My name is Perry Kemick. I'm the Senior Organizing Manager with Forward Montana for Eastern Montana. And we put on this event today with League of Women Voters and Billings Kiwanis. We do have a bunch of information on that table back there if anyone needs it. Vote 411, which is the League of Women Voters voter guide. Forward Montana's voter guide is back there, and both of them have a lot of information about what to expect for the election coming up. We put these forums together across the city of Billings this week because we all really care about Billings and we want to see Billings thrive, and hopefully you get to hear from some candidates today and decide who most matches with your values and make an informed decision. On the ballot this year, it's all mail-in, so ballots are going to be mailed out October 18th. You should get your ballot by the 19th or 20th. And you will see two municipal candidates. So for every ward here in Ward 5, you'll see these two candidates you're about to meet. There will be two municipal judges to choose from and Parks and Recreation bond. And we do have representation from the city today to answer some questions about the bond and get all of that figured out. So without further ado, we're going to jump into our Ward 5 candidate forum. And how this is going to work is first I'm going to have both candidates introduce themselves. And they each have 2 minutes to talk a little bit about their platform, why they're running, tell us more about who they are. We do have a timer over here. You will have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. And she'll hold up a time when you have 30 seconds and then when your time is up. So do try to stay in the 2 minutes so we can get to audience questions. We will have some time for audience questions and some kind of leftover questions we've enjoyed asking this weekend. And then we'll jump into our long form questions. So I'm going to let Beau start. And here today with us, we have Beau Mulvaney and then Mike Boyett, who's the incumbent right now. So I'm going to pass it over to Beau to give us your 2 minute spiel.
Awesome. Thank you, Perry. Well, hi. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on a Sunday when you probably could have been a little not in the middle of the sun. So thank you. I'm Beau Mulvaney, born and raised here in Billings, Montana. I went to West High School, which is now where I'm teaching. I'm a history teacher over at West. I graduated from MSUB with a history and English education degree. I'm also a union member and a board member of Pompey's Pillar. So I like to stay busy, obviously. Why I decided to run was I saw a need in my community that I grew up in, helped raise me, employed me, specifically with mental health and substance abuse. With my own family struggles of mental health, I saw it was important, and I think it's something that people like to talk about a lot and mention that it's important, but when it comes to actually implementing policies about it, I think we run a little flat on that. Also, I want to see our young people either come back to Billings or stay in Billings, and how we're going to be able to retain and recruit our skilled experts to be able to keep our medical care here, our mental health, our police officers, our road workers, construction engineers. So those are some big things that I care about. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Beau. Go right ahead, Mike.
Okay, Mike Boyett, I'm a Billings boy, Holy Rosary Central, and I graduated from Eastern Montana College, when the Big E we called it. Now it's MSU Billings. Went in the Air Force. I was a lieutenant, worked on Minuteman missiles in South Dakota. Came back and I became a deputy sheriff for about 9.5 years. I was a patrol officer and detective. After that, I went into banking. During my banking career, I started to volunteer. I thought I wanted to give back to the community. I was 10 years on the Zoning Commission, 12 years on the Youth Service Center, which is the jail for children. I was a police commissioner for 7 years. I ran the McGruff Take a Bite Out of Crime Council for many years. And when I started on the council, I wanted to give back. Billings has been good to me. I've had a good career, good time in Billings, and I thought it was just time to give back. I want to continue that by finishing some of the projects that we started. I want to finish the new City Hall. I want to finish the West End Reservoir, and I want to finish the sale of the old City Hall building.
Great. Thanks. And actually, I think you can keep the microphone, so we're going to start with you. So same deal. We're going to go into our long form questions that the candidates were sent ahead of time. Again, you have 2 minutes to answer. And just a reminder, it's a forum style, not a debate, so you won't have time to rebuttal, but you will have time to give your point of view. So again, Candace is over there with some timing, but you have 2 minutes for each question. So question number 1, we'll start with Mike. Billings, like many communities in Montana, is seeing rapid growth and a rising cost of living and rental prices. What is the single most impactful policy or action that City Council could take to support more affordable renting opportunities, especially for young folks, seniors, and those that are low and middle income?
Good question. It's all over the country. I spent 2 years on the Project Recode as the co-author of redesigning our zoning for the city of Billings. It hadn't been redone in 50 years. So along with the zoning, we added ADUs, additional dwelling units, like they used to call it the mother-in-law's apartment in the back. You can do that now. We also enhanced the ability to build multi-units. One of the other things we've done is ask the TIF, tax increment financing, to invest in some of these projects. And it's working. If you ever get a chance, go down to Jackson Street and look at the Jackson Court. This is a big area for low-income housing, but it's drop-dead gorgeous. It is a beautiful facility, and the Montana Board of Housing has helped with that. We're just working on this. It's a slow process. You can't win everything, but we're trying, and I think the city's doing a good job, but we have a long way to go.
Affordable housing is a really big issue, not just for our community, but just me as well. My wife's a teacher, I'm a teacher, and just being able to find affordable rent and eventually even buy a house has become a big struggle, something that we didn't imagine we would have to undergo. When my father passed, he had a house over on 36 and Monad, pretty nice place, sold for about $280,000. That was about 4 years ago. This summer when I was looking for a house to buy, $430,000. So these issues are not going away. Now, I'm aware it's all across the country, but after talking to our city administrator and a couple people actually over near Lampman Park, I feel like there are some options, including trying to convince the homeowners around Lampman Park to let us either donate or sell the land to real estate developers to try to cut that cost of purchasing the land, and then for them to be able to build affordable housing there. Obviously that has to be sold to the residents there. I think in our big thing, while using TIF funding, we need to make sure that we're encouraging city infill. I understand that real estate is a market value and that people are going to go where they want to live. But when it comes to actually spreading out infrastructure costs out west, out north, I think encouraging infill where we can use those TIF funds to build affordable housing would be positive.
A little bit of a follow-up to that, and we're going to start with you, Beau. Do you support increased funding for community programs and resources that provide services to our houseless neighbors? And if so, what programs would you like to see implemented or funded?
Yes, I encourage support and funding for our homeless and houseless civilians in the city. It's a big issue that I always hear people say, especially on the West End, is they feel some apprehension to go downtown, which is why I've tried to spend more time downtown seeing what are the issues, what are the problems, and why is it that some people on the West End might not want to go downtown. And I think there's some great organizations at work downtown, like the Downtown Billings Alliance, the TIF districts, Substance Abuse Connect, Continuum of Care, the Montana Rescue Mission. And I think helping these organizations is going to make downtown Billings a place where people want to go, want to visit, want to shop, and kind of revitalize our economy more. And I think that's important, but I also think we need to focus on giving people basically an opportunity to get their lives back together, to get them into a job, get them into security, because I do believe that there are people who have made mistakes, but they are trying to get their lives back together, and they're trying to basically get back into a positive way of living, and I think that's something that we should help out with. I'm not asking for property taxpayers to shell out everything they have for that, but I do think a lot of these nonprofits are trying to do good work, but the issue is they don't have funding for advertising, because heck, I went to the Yellowstone Mental Health Service Provider meeting Wednesday over at Big Sky 30, and I didn't know about some of the organizations that were there helping, and I'm like, why do I not know about them? So I think big thing is funding for advertisement about these organizations, and also finding a unified center place where you can go to get resources and to get help instead of going from this building to this building, this building, this building.
So last week I had a meeting with one of the county commissioners, and I said, what are you doing with your funding for mental health and substance abuse? Well, they're going to give their money to mental health center and crisis center, nobody else. And what we see is up to 18 organizations coming to the city for the money that we have, which is 2 mills for mental health and substance abuse and some marijuana money. My real concern is it's not giving out the money, but giving it to the right people. If I give everybody here $100, it doesn't do much, but if I take all the money together, I can. So I would, what I propose to the county commissioner is that we work together to fund mental health, substance abuse as a group rather than individuals, and get more bang for our buck. Last year we gave $210,000 to the COC for simply housing of the people during the winter time. Great idea, but they didn't go far enough. I would rather have given the money to like the rescue mission that had a plan to ask the people, what can we do to get you out of the situation? That's what I think we need. We need a plan once we help the people for their sake, find out what their issues are, how we can help them, and what do we need to move forward to get them off the dole, so to speak.
Thanks to you both. Next question. As our city continues to grow, public safety has been at the top of mind for many voters. What is your vision for public safety in Billings, and can you tell us about what policies or measures you would support to make Billings a safer and better place to live for our economically diverse population?
Well, I spent 9 years as a deputy sheriff. The world has changed a lot since I was a cop. The world is different today. People are different. They're not as nice as they used to be, believe that or not. And you probably see that just by the people driving, the way they drive around the streets. But to say we had 2 safety mill levies, we use the money, of course, to increase the number of police officers, the number of code enforcement officers. And my pet project, which I really, really, really like, is we have a mobile response unit now. Instead of taking a giant red fire truck and sending it to somebody that had a broken arm or fell down, we send a truck with 2 EMTs. The cost savings are going to be horrendous. They're figuring each one of these units is going to take about 3,000 calls a year versus sending a great big red fire truck. We're also starting a crisis unit. It'll be a mental health worker and a EMT in a car. And the first 2 days of service, they've already had 20 calls and transported 3 people to other agencies. I see this as moving forward to help us. Does that solve all the problems? No, not at all. I think the citizens of Billings have to come together and say, first of all, we're going to obey the laws that we have, especially the driving drives me crazy, the way they run through red lights and whatnot. The state of Montana won't allow us to put cameras up to catch them. I don't know what to do. I'm puzzled by the traffic, how bad we are, but we're moving forward. I want the people to respect our police officers, and I think we can do it together.
Just to jump off kind of what Mike just finished on with traffic, I really do think that City Council, I think we already do a pretty good job of trying to go to the legislature and basically argue our part of, hey, we need funding for this, we need stuff for this, and I think we need to continue to do that, especially as the legislature keeps passing things that are trying to limit municipal government or blame us for different things. Another big thing I see is with the funding we did through the public safety levies, we've gotten some police officers, which we desperately needed. Now I want to make sure that they want to stay in Billings and keep working in Billings, because if we don't have those police, if we can hire all the police officers we want, but if we're not staying for a certain amount of time, then we're just going to keep getting fresh-faced new recruits and not some experience to keep in the force. And I think the EMT and the mental health crisis is going to help, but I think also we need to do some policies that are going to focus on mental health and substance abuse, so we can give our police officers in our front line a little bit of a break, a little reprieve, so they're not getting overworked and feel like what they're doing is a waste of time. Because I know for sure as a teacher, when I feel like I'm getting burnt out and I feel like I'm not able to get through to the kids, I start thinking, is this something I want to keep doing? Whereas when you get support from the community and other people, you feel like, okay, there's a reason I do this job, because police officers are not doing this for the pay. They're doing this to protect our community. Another big thing I think that's going to help is making sure that we are able to retain our employees through affordable housing and also through like SEP debt policies. The idea of making sure that our parks and public spaces are visible and are safe. My wife's from Kansas City, Missouri. We drove by North Park the other day, our first time seeing it, and she went, "Why is this made the way it is? There can be people hiding behind these bushes, there can be people hiding here," and I think our efforts in crime prevention through environmental design will really help with that.
Great, thank you both. This next question kind of gets to what you both were just talking about. So starting with Beau, with the rising cost of housing and cost of living, many people, especially young folks, are struggling to see a sustainable economic future for themselves here. What is your role, what do you think the role of City Council is in helping support and retain a talented young workforce here in Billings?
I think we're vital to that. And that doesn't mean just the city needs to employ everybody or make sure that everybody's employed, but also we need to encourage our local businesses to keep wages and prices at a reasonable area where we can keep our community so people aren't leaving and moving to different places. I mean, I hear people complain about Bozeman all the time because their rise of costs and even the rise of wages not going up. And I think we need to help out local businesses, nonprofits, all the organizations in Billings that are employing people, and basically make sure they're being supported. And I'm not saying funneling money out everywhere, but I'm saying like advertising, asking if we can help out in some way. Because, and that's one thing why I like this park bond, and I know that might be a little unpopular to some, but especially with the rec center, when we have swimming meets all the way in Hardin instead of here in Billings, the amount of money that local businesses are losing out on hotels, and then the hotel T-bid cost that can go toward public city projects, we could be getting money in from that to help out our businesses and our people. The city has to, I think, minimize our reacting to events. I think over the last 4 years, I mean, nobody really knew COVID was coming, but I think we've been reacting to events since then, and I think we do need to plan, hey, how are we going to retain our people? How are we going to keep people? Let's plan for the future instead of year by year go, okay, how do we fix what happened this year?
So I checked right before I came here. The city has 37 jobs on the board right now, and they're decent paying jobs with benefits. We have a $38 million warehouse being built on the North Frontage Road. We have a $50 million Coca-Cola plant on the South Frontage Road. Right up the street, we have a $50 million osteopathic college for doctors, believe that or not, in Billings, Montana. And my pride and joy is go up on the rims and take a walk on that new trail walking across the rims. That's got to be the prettiest thing in the world. Please go see that. So I think we have plenty of jobs for the kids growing up and the people coming here. I don't think that's the issue. We need more people to come to fill those jobs. But part of this bond that you're looking at in November 7th would be for parks and trails. Well, if we have the jobs there, we need some attraction to keep them here. And I think the bond would do that. Especially that trail. If somebody comes from Florida and walks up on the rims and sees Yellowstone Valley, they're going to go, wow. I mean, try it. It's gorgeous. So we just need to keep working. Big Sky Economic Development, the task force, everybody works. We need to work together instead of opposed. That's why I want to work with the county. It's always been the county versus the city. So I made it a point to go visit all 3 county commissioners and say, guys, we need to work together.
Great. You're both catching on here pretty quickly because you're getting ahead of me. The next question is on this ballot that we're about to see in November is a $143 million parks bond that would build a new recreation center on the south side, and then, as you both just talked about, would also invest in dozens of parks and trails across the city. I think you both already answered the first part of this question, but the question is, will you vote yes on this bond? Why or why not?
My turn.
Yep.
So I was on the committee to take all the items that everybody wanted, the wish list, and narrow it down to what we could have the public vote on. And that was a long 2 or 3 month process. Everybody, well, I want this, I want that. So we tried to narrow it down. The Chamber of Commerce did a survey, and the public didn't want everything. They wanted it to keep it simple. So that's what we tried to do. I really wanted the parks. the parks, as you can see around, this is where the people are at. There's more people, I think, will use the parks than they will the rec center. So I'm going to vote for it because I want the parks. I think that's a big deal. We need I hear there'll be a center out here where people can come and meet together day and night. So I think it's a great opportunity, and this is what, if you bring people from out of town, I give them the 10-cent tour when I drive around Billings. I drive around Billings and show them everything, and guess what they say? This is really nice. This is really good. And guess what? Your traffic isn't very big if I come from Atlanta. Your traffic is no problem. But I say, yeah, there is, but they say, no, there's no traffic in Billings.
Yes, I'm going to vote yes on the bond for a couple different reasons. One, as a teacher, I see young people. There's a stereotype that young people just want to stay inside all day and play video games and be on their phone. And I believe that short-term impulse is definitely big on a developing brain. But there are young kids who are trying to find outside activities to do. And unfortunately in Montana, we get 8 months of winter. And so it's a little difficult to do some kind of outdoor activity a lot of times. So I think a indoor recreation center with facilities that not just our citizens can use, but our teams, our different sports, our different organizations, and these set off rooms that can be used for community sources or community classes. I think that's important. And it looks a little embarrassing when Bozeman, Missoula, Helena, and Great Falls have one, but we do not yet. Do I think the cost is a little rough to look at, especially with inflation and rising costs? Yes. But we have organizations in our town that are helping fund it. The mayor himself donating. The Billings Chamber basically running the campaign to do it, and also talking about using T-bid costs to basically fund the maintenance and the administration of it, to basically make it run. You've got the PAR group that's willing to fund it. I like seeing these private organizations invest in it, because that shows to me that, hey, they think it's going to retain and recruit employees. They think it's going to keep their employees and keep them wanting to stay here in Billings. It's something for them to do. And I think that's important if we want to keep our young people here in Billings, is for stuff to do. Because that's always the complaint I always had as a kid, and my friends always had, is what can I do? Obviously teenagers need to be a little more creative and find things that they can do, but these opportunities are, I'd say, good for the city.
Great, thank you both. One last long form question before we hop into some more kind of fun rapid response ones to shake things up. Last question is, communities across Montana have felt the impacts of a changing climate over the last few summers, from smoky air and high temperatures to devastating flooding. What do you think the role of City Council should be, if any, in combating a changing climate? We'll start with you, Beau.
Well, as I said kind of earlier, I don't like the idea of reactionary government. I like the idea of planning. And I believe that's probably going to change up our government municipal structure here in Billings, probably, to better plan. But I do think this is not going away, these issues. I think they're going to continue. I like things that we have started doing, like finally getting the recycling program. I think that's been important. I think City Council is not going to be in control a lot of climate change issues or climate issues. It's mainly going to be the state legislature probably telling us what we can do. So I think we need to show up and address our senators and congressmen and let them know what Billings cares about, what we value in Billings. And I think it's also a fine line we have to check with the jobs we have, like at the refinery and the jobs across our state, and make sure that people are still being employed and that people still have their livelihood, while also making sure to look at the future and go, hey, we need to make sure we're going to be all safe and happy for a while and be able to do things outdoors. But I do think we need to make sure to remember the people who are working, and their pensions and their retirement and their livelihood is based on jobs like refineries and mines and things like that.
So there was an energy commission for the city of Billings, and it went defunct. So we brought it back. Why wouldn't we bring that back to have Billings? Now we are a lead city, meaning we're saving energy. The new city hall, everything is about saving energy. $100,000 to $200,000 a year in energy costs through the buying of new equipment, fixing the windows. We're also on the west end, we're having a water retention. You'll think it's two giant Lake Elmos that are going to be out on Hesper Road. And people are going to think, wow, this is a great recreation. But it's for us because we only have about 8 hours worth of water in our system. In the last 2 years, we've shut them down twice, the water system. We can't have that. The city is growing so much, we need that. I personally went down and met with the people at Republic, I think it's a different name now, and said, you recycle aluminum cans, metal cans, paper, cardboard. Okay? Why can't we, the city, work with you? I like the idea of us recycling cardboard, but I said in the city council, that's not enough. We need to do more with that. And that's what I'd like to do if I'm reelected again, is to continue that effort to do more recycling. It's there. I think people want to recycle. You just have to make it easy for them to do it. That's the biggest problem. I was over at Albertsons a couple of years ago, and they had a big bin out there where you could put all your recyclables in, and it was filling and was a mess. So when I talked to Republic, they said, well, the people make a mess out of it. And I said, you know why? Because you don't come pick up those big containers fast enough. Because people want to cooperate, people want to recycle. Billings has changed since I grew up. We used to have snow in November, October, November. We don't have that anymore. We're becoming more of an arid. So we have to look at ways the city can do it is not watering everything, saving our water for the right things. We switched from having city water to water this park to a ditch. Duh. But it costs money to buy the pump to do that. It'll pay us back over time. So I agree with Beau that we need to be proactive rather than reactive. And I think this water reservoir on the west end is going to be a major help for the city of Billings.
Thank you both so much for your thoughtful answers to all of those. We're going to hop into some very quick kind of rapid response ones. Do you guys want to move forward at all to get out of the sun? Or are you okay?
I'll move a little
Okay. I was getting a little hot already, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling bad for you guys. Okay, well, hopefully that helps. We'll move into these rapid response. I know,
Still
like,
in
oh,
the
maybe
sun.
not.
He can come
Yeah, if
forward
you want to
further.
come more forward, you absolutely. We have
Well,
plenty
we're
of
going to move
space.
where you're at.
Yeah, please come on over this way.
There you go. Does that help? No?
If I slouch a little bit, which I'm good at, so.
Perfect. Well, just a little bit left, so you're making it through. So we're going to do some rapid response. These were ones you were not sent ahead of time. They're silly. They're fun. I will just have you pass the microphone back and forth for these. So you'll just each answer them in succession. Try to keep them short. It's just yes or no, or it's 1 or 2 words, and have fun with it. First question: what is your favorite restaurant in Billings? Either one of you, yeah.
It used to be Pug Mahone's with the last name Mulvaney. I surely love Pug Mahone's, so that was unfortunate when that closed. I really do like Brew Pub, Montana Brewing Company.
Well, my favorite was Village Inn, but they closed it. But now I hear and understand that CJ's is taking it over, so I gotta go there.
Great. If you had to sing karaoke, what would be your go-to karaoke song?
Thanks. I can never remember the name of it, but it's a Hall & Oates song. Make My Dreams Come True. I don't remember the name of the song, but that's the one I always used to pick.
Yeah, love it.
I always liked the Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun. So we have to think about tomorrow.
Good work. This is the first forum, I think, today and then the end of yesterday that people actually had a song. So thank you for answering. Kind of scared people, I think. Okay, fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is
Rich?
Iconic.
yes. Okay, great answers. Favorite place to go on a weekend in Billings?
I really like going up to Zimmerman, walking my dogs. That's always a big thing.
I like to go for a ride on the weekend to see what's happening in the city. We do it every weekend.
Great. Dogs or cats?
I'm a cat fan. I was named after the LSU mascot, Mike the Tiger.
I like both, but I'm allergic to cats, so I've always been a dog person.
Yep. Okay, this one has stumped people a little bit. It's a little tough. In just 1 or 2 words, or a couple words, what is one thing you wish you could change about Billings?
Stable.
Traffic.
I could have guessed that one. Should have known. Okay, if you could have a celebrity canvas for your campaign, who would you choose and why?
People I wanted.
You're all dead.
This is going to be super history nerdy, but I was just in Missoula, so Mike Mansfield.
I've been shocked that no one has said Taylor Swift all weekend.
That's
Kind of a
probably
gimme.
better. I'd probably get a little more popularity.
Yeah, if only. Okay, favorite form to eat potatoes in?
You mean like mashed potatoes?
Yeah,
Okay,
mashed
mashed
roasted.
potatoes.
Okay, there you go.
That's not a fair question. Mashed, or I do love, and again, going back to Pug Mahone's, their chips they used to have were the Mar Bar in Missoula. I just went back there. They have almost the same style, so that was very fun. But
So good. Do you believe in ghosts?
no.
No.
I think those are our first two no's. There were a few kind of yeses and a few confusions.
Wife
and-
does, I don't.
Yeah, love it. Last one. What is the last book you read?
Clive Cussler book.
Strong Towns, Charles Barone.
Wow, on brand. I like it. Okay, so that is all of our prepared questions. I would love to pass it over to any audience questions folks might have. Oh yeah, I do have a couple up my sleeve, so I'm going to give it a second. If anyone has one off the top of their head, otherwise I can ask one that we were discussing earlier while you all think for a minute.
It can be silly.
Yeah, truly, yeah. No one has asked silly questions yet, and I'm open for more of those.
Okay. If you're elected, how much time will you spend working on the city council?
That's a question I've been asked a lot since I am a teacher. Big thing is I get done around 3:30, so I'm able to still meet with city departments in that time, not for a long amount of time, but I can basically do 3:34 to 5 any day. I'll go on off time. Usually when the city sends out things they're going to talk about during the meetings, that's what I can use my weekends on, working through those, asking questions, getting with my my fellow city council members and figuring that stuff out. The way I see it is you can't be lazy. You can't just go to the Monday meetings. That to me goes against what I believe in, that I need to invest my time in the community that invested in me. So not sure how my wife is going to feel about that, but I plan on spending a lot of time investing in this city.
You may not believe this, but every day I think about the city. There's not one day in the last 4 years that I haven't thought about the city. I'm now the deputy mayor. I go to meetings 2 or 3 times a day. I've done meetings at 7 in the morning, 7 at night, and all times during that. We have 3 jobs as a city council member. One is to go to business meetings every Monday night. Number 2 is to vote. We can't restrain, we have to vote. And number 3 is you have to respond to your constituents. So there's many times I'm over at somebody's house at 10 in the morning because they have water in the street or they got a pothole. So 20 to 30 hours a week, there's no question about it.
Something we were discussing that I have a quick audience question, but it's me. This is a bit of a call out post, but at our other forums this weekend, only one candidate showed up. And this is the first forum we've had where both candidates have shown up. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on the importance of this kind of engagement in the community while running and also just while being someone serving our community.
For the last 4 years, I've gone to every event that I've been asked to go to, regardless of what it was. Whether I didn't even know what they were talking about, I attended. I think it's a crime that the people who are running don't have the courtesy to show up to one of these meetings. Whether they like it or not, you have to show up because you're here for the constituents.
Yeah, it's our job to be transparent and accessible. I do not want to make any offense or call out our lovely council members, Boyett or Ipsis, but a lot of the doors I knocked on, they didn't know who their representatives were. They didn't know what the city government did. Heck, before I even started to try to run, finding our resources and finding the means to even run or attend things was a little difficult. I believe it is our job to be very transparent and accessible and encourage people to attend events, and I think that first comes with us. Like, I don't expect my students to go to different events, different things, if I don't show up myself. So.
Great. Thank you guys for answering that. Other audience questions right now? They're coming up for people. I have one on that same note. I have a lot of questions. On that same note, you were both just getting to this, but something that we've asked at every forum as well through audience questions is about engagement and communication, exactly what Beau was just talking about. We've been hearing from young folks that exactly what you were just saying, getting involved is really hard, finding the right information. We've been told that, young people can run for boards and committees, and I agree, but sometimes those meetings are at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday or 9 a.m. on a whatever day, and I've heard from a lot of young folks that we've worked with trying to get to apply for boards and committees that it's really difficult when you have a full-time job or you're a student. And also finding the right information and getting the things that you need has been hard. So curious, if elected or re-elected, what steps might you take to break down some of those barriers for young folks in getting involved?
So one big thing, just me as a younger person, I'm one of very few, I'd say, of my age range to actually have a subscription to the Billings Gazette. Most of us do not have cable. We've gone to streaming. So accessing the news is through online, and even thankfully the local news agencies haven't gone paywall yet, but other places have, where we can't even find some news because we have to pay for a subscription or put it on our email and our things like that. Big thing, I think, is continue to improve working with the public information officer. After meeting with our city administrator, I learned more about her and her position, and I think that is a great start. I think we need to, I know it costs money, but I think we need to do more things like those pamphlets and get it out to people that events are happening, that votes are happening. But the biggest one that pertains to Mike and I is city council meetings themselves. Most people are not able to sit for 5:30 to sometimes midnight for a city council meeting. There's a lot of people out here who have part-time jobs at night, or their job is at night. They're raising kids, they're cooking dinner, even attending Zoom. I did that twice, and it was still kind of like a bit of a hassle. And I think part of that is through us council members being ready for the job that Monday, and make sure to do our research, ask questions beforehand, and when it comes to the actual council session, getting through the motions to be respectful of our constituents' time. And maybe, I know following a schedule can be ridiculous because it comes to voting and motions and things like that, but I do feel bad for some of the people who are there to talk about their thing or just be there for one of their bids, and 2 hours go by instead of they thought they'd be in and out real quick.
So I was on a Zoom meeting with the Democratic Party with Tom Tao. I don't know if you know Tom Tao, and they had a person coming at 7. It's because his is at 7:30 in the morning. The young man fell asleep because he said, "I should. Why don't you have your meeting at 10 o'clock?" Well, great idea. One of the problems we have is that the staff usually has to participate in some of the meetings we have. They work at they don't work at night. We have to pay them overtime. So that's why a lot of the meetings are trying to be during the day. But you can always go on Channel 7. I've done it myself, and you can watch the council meetings from the day before, and you can fast forward, move it back and forth. So that's one good option. In the new city hall that we're building, it's going to be much better for people to Zoom or show up, but we need to save this so people can watch it at midnight when they're awake or not awake. It's one of those faulty dilemmas that we have to do business during the day when most of the people are working. The council meeting members, if they work, they can't be there during the day, so we have them from 5:30 sometimes till midnight. depending on the agenda. You'd watch Channel 7 is about the only thing I can say at this point.
Any other audience questions before we wrap up? Great question. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and end. I want to say thank you so much again to both of you for coming. We were live streaming this today, so this will be on our website where folks can watch it online and get more information. Again, just a reminder that we do have voter guide information over there for both League of Women Voters and Forward Montana. And just want to thank you so much again for spending your Sunday afternoon with us. And we do have the Parks Department with us, City of Billings, to talk about the Parks Bond. If anyone has extra questions, they do a really incredible job of explaining what exactly is on that bond and what it means for us as citizens. So,
Thank you.
Thanks so much.